If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. So it doesn't matter as long as you're moving. It might look like small strides, but you keep moving. The youngest PhD holder is in the building, Purity Ngena, and she did not stop moving. Even when she thought, by the way, ni kama hapa nimekwama, I don't like my results, I have to go back, repeat at some point. She was like, you know what, it's fine. I will do this. Her outlook for life was just beautiful, phenomenal, and that is why she's here with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
It is always a lovely time, you know, listening to this conversation again and, you know, just seeing you, just seeing you and seeing the achievements that you have made. Karibu sana, Purity.
Asante.
And maybe you can introduce yourself to the people, you know, with the current titles.
Thank you so much. My name is Purity Ngena. I work at Zizi Afrique Foundation as a research and assessment manager. A beautiful position to hold, you know, just leaving the university and coming on to something different, something complex, but something so beautiful. And what I love about what I do is because our mission is to ensure all learners get a quality education. So when you think about competencies, whether they are foundational skills, these are literacy, numeracy, or whether they are these 21st century skills, or what people call soft skill, I don't know whether they are soft, but issues related to competencies and about learners. And I think it's beautiful because working in a project that is not just in Kenya, it is going to Uganda and Tanzania. I feel at this space I'm celebrating myself because issues related to values and life skills, I think they are key.
They are.
And when you mentioned that keep moving,
Yes.
I think it is coming from within you. It is you being self-motivated, a go-getter, and you have to have the skills that are needed for this century. And this century is not about the books. It's not just you
There's
being...
so much more.
Exactly. There's so much that you need to learn. And others are very complex because one of the things I keep asking myself, how do you learn how to collaborate with people? Because they are coming from different diversity.
Yes.
And I think these skills can be nurtured.
Yeah.
The problem is if they are not nurtured when you are young, I'm 30 plus. So you can imagine if they were not nurtured when I was a toddler or when I was growing up. I mean, it is a big gap that
Yeah.
exists in the society. And I think that is why I'm so excited about the space and the project I'm working on assessment of values and life skills.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is so dope because mostly growing up, most of the things we focused on was school, right? Get those A's. Vitu zingine you will learn, dunia itakufunza. But we've come to learn that there's so much more that needs to be inculcated in our systems and all of that. But I want to take you back because you have such an interesting story, Purity, and you know, going through school at KCPE level, you would have easily said, sio lazima nisome, and to think that the youngest PhD holder of biomathematics in this country failed and repeated her class 8.
Yeah, I in 2002 sat for my KCP and failed 235 out of 500. It's a failure.
That is not even like half.
Imagine.
What was happening at that point? Why you didn't like school? You were doing your best?
I don't know when I was doing my best. I think is at this point where you don't know what next. So, you know, and most of us struggle with that space. When you don't know what next, you never put more effort. You're like, we are done. I'm finishing and that is it. But I think 2002, many things were changing. There was new government. There was issues related to education. They were being pushed. There was CDF and, you know, parents could now see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And so they were encouraging us. And my mom was one of that person who really encouraged me to go back to school, repeat, even if she had nothing to show that she will take me to high school. But I think I made the right decision of just listening to her, repeated 369, 1 year later, the same school.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine.
So 369. Well, it's not even 400. It's, you know, when you talk about being a PhD holder, you'd expect from the onset they're geniuses. You know, like it's A, number one, constantly. But that was not the case. So 369, after you repeated, then you went to high school. And you went to a good high school. It was actually one of my dream schools.
Wow.
But I didn't make the cut, which is
good
fine.
school,
So you went to Kenny Girls.
No, I went to Tumutumu Girls.
Yes, Tumutumu
Tumutumu
Girls.
Girls. And I think that was my first time to kind of leave home in a boarding school. And you're used to being at home. Now you're joining other girls. And of course, the challenges of feeling like you don't belong, they were still there with me. And for me, how to fit in was I knew what I wanted. I started seeing the difference. Why was I different from others?
Okay.
And I would ask them questions, and you see, most of my colleagues in the school, their parents had gone to school, they were doing well, they were judges, they were doctors, they were teachers. My mom was a farmer.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah, okay. So I knew what I wanted, and I knew how to go for it.
What is it that you wanted at that point?
I wanted a life of difference, something different.
Okay.
For me, for my generation.
Yes.
I wanted a different story.
Okay.
And that is why for me, I'm happy when people are given second chances. You see, like now when we are talking about young teens getting pregnant, I'm happy that they'll get another chance of going back to school, because you need to write a good story about yourself, and your story is not complete.
No.
It's never complete. You have to keep on adding new chapters. And I think for me, when I look back, I've seen, yes, there are favors from God, but I've also seen the results of hard work and just being committed and knowing what you want. And sometimes young people, adolescents, we lose the track because we are so disappointed with ourselves. Sometimes we want to fit in. You know, I could have gone to Tumutumu Girls and want to fit in and just relax. And I feel maybe bad about where I come from and not want to change the story. But for me, I felt, yes, I don't want this life, but I wanted to change that story. And I'm happy that this story is being told now. That after, I think 2002, when I graduated, there were 16 years later. That was a different story of this girl who failed and was able to make history in this country. And also, it shows that when you want something so badly, so badly, you can do it.
You can do it.
You can do
There's
it.
nothing that can come in the way of a focused mind.
Yeah.
When you set your eyes on the goal, then you know you have to go for it. So you went into high school with a different mindset. You knew that this is it and there's no way out. And we'll find out the journey just after that, from a very, humble background with no direction in terms of, you just know, I don't want to be a farmer and I want to change this story for me and my family. And I will do whatever it takes to get there. And she did. This story continues after this short commercial break. Send in your questions, 111 444 111. It's going to cost you just a shilling. Switch TV Kenya on Facebook, Switch TV KE on Instagram. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. This is Full Circle with Mwikali. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mwikali. A very good morning to you. I'm having a very important conversation here, and I hope you guys are tuned in. You're taking notes. We're the youngest PhD holder in this country at 28 years old. Biomathematics was it. And this is after she went through primary school, got way below the half mark, and she was like, you know what, let me just repeat. And when she got into high school, she had a different perspective about life and decided to change that and focus on what it is that she wanted to be. When you were asked in high school, because now you've changed, you're just like, I'm not going back to being to farming. That is not, I'm not. I want to change that for myself and for my family, for my generation. Did you have an idea of what you wanted to do?
Maybe I loved teaching, and I think that is why I'm a teacher by profession.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think there was something different. You see, when growing up, the people I've seen successful were teachers, and I think they were doing well. And even now, teachers are still doing well. Their children are growing and are becoming better. And so I wanted to be a teacher, but I loved science, and so it was a teacher of science, mathematics, chemistry, physics, all those combinations.
Yeah.
But still, I also loved engineers, because there's something about them that is different. And when I went to the university and I was admitted to take education science,
Yeah.
I still had to apply for university interfaculty transfer to take engineering, which I didn't pass the mark anyway, because I got a B plus.
Okay.
But I think I love numbers, and I've loved numbers since maybe class 4. We had a teacher who was very tough,
Yeah.
but was very encouraging because I knew all the multiplications, you know. So good morning was 1 times 12, and you'd continue up to 20 probably. And so I think he was sort of encouraging us.
Yes.
Of course, most of us felt like he was punishing.
really tough.
Yeah, it was tough. He was
Yeah.
punishing us. But looking back, I think I appreciate. But I think life has so many diversity, because you see,
That's true.
when I finished and got my PhD, I was lecturing. Now I'm in a different space. I'm doing research of issues related to education. I think anything education
Is what is in your hand.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I think I love what I do. And just to mention, when I said about values and lives, you know, sometimes when you go for interviews,
Yeah.
you'll only be asked one question about yourself and maybe the skills you have.
Yeah.
But any other question will be what motivates you, what would you do if you are faced with this scenario. So this question are always about whether this person is a critical thinker, whether this person is innovative, whether he is creative, is a good communicator. You know, some of these skills that are quite important, because it's only one question for sure that will ask you,
Yes.
tell us about you. And that is where you start saying, hey, I did this, I'm a teacher, I have a master's in mathematics, I have a, you know. But the other question is, how do you solve this problem? If you are faced with this, how would you do it? Purity.
Yes.
And they are trying to get something different. And that is why when you read statistics, you see that there's always a mismatch between what people have been trained and
Yes.
what is required in the field, because the field
that's true.
needs someone else rather than this person who went and probably took journalism or an engineering or whichever course.
Yes.
They're looking for something special about creativity. Is this person a team player? Is he collaborating? Does he or she know herself? Self-awareness, you know, issues, because you don't want someone who will come here and face challenges because they definitely cannot control their emotions.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that is why I think it is this time that we all need to make noise about the
About it,
importance
it's true.
Of critical issues
Yeah.
that are needed.
Because
you know.
you have the paper, and the paper is good. It looks really nice.
Exactly.
Ukipatia noko, but when you are tasked to do something, or something goes off from what is expected or what you expect to happen, you are in the field or elsewhere, then you need to handle it on ground. And there's so much more apart from the paper.
There's so much more.
So much more.
And I was, because now I'm really reading, you know, sometimes you assume you know, but now I'm really reading about this socio-emotional learning, or what people call soft skills.
Yes.
And I was reading some statistics, first from Kenya. It shows that 50% of employers are looking for someone who has these soft skills. And what they say, and this research was done in TVET, people employing people coming from vocational colleges. So these are hands-on skills,
Yes.
maybe someone mechanic, electrical technician or something. They were saying, I can train someone how to fix something, but I can't train this person how to communicate, how to collaborate, how to be a team player, how to think critically. I need this person to come with these skills. The others, I know I can add some bit of it.
Yeah.
And it shows that's the importance. And another study, this was done in US, 94% of the people who are interviewed, I can't remember the number of people sampled, they were saying, yes, we need someone with soft skills. And I mean, I've just been reading statistics from different papers, from different areas. And it shows it is the high time, especially in Kenya, in Africa. You know, in Africa, when you talk about training someone how to be a good communicator,
Yeah.
if you invite someone if you have a master class on
Yes.
communication,
Yes.
maybe not everybody will appreciate, because they still don't know the power
That has.
you
Yeah.
know, and because they have not received the information of the importance of these skills.
Okay.
And one of the special thing about when you focus on these socio-emotional skills or values and life skills, you just go back to reflect on your life.
Yes.
And it makes you go back to your journey, and you're looking at, how did I manage there? Which skills was important? I
Yeah.
think I had self-awareness. I think I had confidence. I have a new job. What skills were they looking for? And you realize the importance is, you're like, I want my children, I want this generation to have those skills, so that no one will tell them, you have the paper,
Yeah.
but I don't think you're cut for this job.
Are we taking this in? Is the system right now, are we having these conversations in our schools? Is it happening? Are the teachers getting this training to be able to pass on that or encourage the children in our schools?
I think the conversation has started with the new competence-based curriculum, because the document has 7 core skills that are important. The question is, how will they be nurtured? Are the teachers ready? Are parents ready to play their role? Because if you go back to when we are growing up, and I think I remember sometimes we didn't want those children when you're hyper, you know,
It's
when
true.
visitors come, they want to, you know, they want to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And our parents would tell them,
Usikakuwe kama
you know,
mchezo huko nje,
exactly.
you
They
know?
didn't know the power of
Yes.
what they were taking from us, because it is from those hyper children that we can see them how they are successful in their own right in
true.
different spaces of life. Also in school, when you see our parents don't want us to be prefects, they don't know the power of being a leader. Because
that
that is when
age,
you
yeah.
learn how to be responsible, you learn how to speak
Solve
during parades, you know,
problems.
to solve problems,
Yeah.
to be empathetic, because when you don't want to be a leader who is seen like you don't care about the others. So you get to learn some of these things. And I think this conversation needs to start not just with us who are
Yeah.
doing research on how to assess them, because you see, for us, we are coming to check. You know, assessment is checking whether they are there.
Yes.
But we need people to nurture them, so that even when you're saying, yes, those skills are there, you can identify the gaps and say, this is what need to be done. But I'm happy with the new curriculum, because they are part of what is there, but we hope the teachers are ready, because it requires someone who is very intentional.
Yes.
So that even when children, because some people will find it like you're wasting time trying to form groups, waiting for students to come then present, taking your time, you know, but it is very, very, very important.
And it's not just in terms of education, it's in terms of life.
Yes.
Because there will be so much more, there's so much more life ahead of you. And it could be in the workplace, you could be an employer and all of that. And what about the parents and the role they have to play? Because we've seen situations where, especially nowadays, where the nanny is the one who's raising our children. So to the parents out there with all this thing, because it also has to start there. Is there a conversation going on around that? This is where we're doing it. We're talking to them this morning.
This is
because the
where-
teachers have a system.
Yeah, the
They do
teachers
have a system, yeah.
Yeah, I think most parents have not appreciated, especially why they are important and the role they need to play. And that
Yeah.
is why you realize, even when the competence-based curriculum was rolled out, many parents were complaining, because
Yes.
they are saying, like, I'm now
Kwani
the
sisi ndio
teacher.
tunasoma?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I think it is not all lost. I think we need to start this conversation and encouraging and showing them the importance. You know, it's not just saying about values and life skills. Pick one skills and show that parent why is it important for your child to know how to communicate, to know how to collaborate, to know how to solve problems, and even bring out the problems that they are facing in this 21st century, because there are quite many, and why it is important for them to be creative, to be good citizens, you know, to have values, you know, things like respect, to peace, you know, honesty. I think if parents understood the power, I think they don't know the power. You know, when you don't know the power of something, you're like,
It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense.
Then I'm being more involved than I should be. Like sinampeleka shule. Na venye nalipa
Exactly.
expensive school
Yeah,
fees.
yeah, yeah.
So this whole system, this is what you do. Research and assess that these things are actually being done. And you're doing it not just in Kenya. This is happening also in Uganda and
in
Tanzania.
Tanzania. Actually, it is one of the, I'm so excited. You know, when I talk about this project, it is quite complex, because
Yeah.
for us, we don't want to go to school. We want to get to teenagers at their home.
Okay.
So we'll be assessing the homestead. So it'll actually ensure we get a complete story.
Yes.
Because a complete story is when you get to this child at home, and these are between the age of 13 to 17, see how they relate with their parents, give them activities, kind-based assessment, you know, tell them to do something and see whether they have these soft skills or transferable skills or social emotional learning. And you can see the way I'm playing with those names, because there's no clarity. You see, for us, I'm saying assessment of life skills and values in East Africa. Someone will talk about social emotional learning skills, soft skills. We need to bring clarity. What is it?
Oh my goodness.
It is also through this assessment we are trying to even ask ourselves those questions.
Yeah.
Is it soft skills?
What is it?
What is it? Yeah. So bringing clarity in this conversation, we're hoping that we're going to generate enough evidence by the end of 3 years, and not just to generate evidence. You know, when you talk about research is about publications, presenting your work and ensuring that the conversation is growing. It's not just happening within the organizations that are doing that research, that everybody picks it and appreciate. And so for us, we want to grow with people. So we are also collaborating with the government people, policy actors, people in the education sector, to grow our capacity, so that by the end of 3 years, we'll have people who can speak confidently that I know how to assess social emotional learning. I know how to assess values and life skills. Because one of the questions is, when you meet me once, it might be very difficult to know whether I am good in team playing or collaborating, or is she a critical thinker?
Yeah.
You know, you might not. So how do we get to know that, yes, we have people who now understand these skills in and out? They have deconstructed them, they have constructed them again, they know the skill in its sub-skills, in these components, all the things that are involved in it. So we'll have a group of people learning with us. So we are creating a learning community, and it is beautiful. You know, you don't want to do research and stay with it. You want people to learn with you, because I'm also learning.
Okay.
And we are hoping that from that evidence that we are going to generate, we're going to influence policies and bring change in this country. Policy not just influencing in government space, but also bringing this conversation within parents to understand the importance of values, of life skills, how to nurture them, how to grow, how to assess even whether my child is on the right track, you know. So walking that journey, and it will be beautiful. It is quite complex, but I'm happy to be part of it.
You see, that's the beauty about this, that it is a hopeful situation, that you are working towards something and you hope that it's going to work out. Kuna mtu anauliza hapa, daktari, is it going to be just in public schools? Because kuna kwanga na hiyo difference, I think, you know, private schools or this international systems, that they have totally different things going on there. If your child is going to, you know, like a DB or na kuna mwingine anaenda academy.
No, that's why I mentioned we are going at home, households assessment. So we are not just targeting teenagers in school. We are targeting even those who didn't have the opportunity to be in school. And this is in spirit of SDGs, of leaving no one behind. So this conversation cannot be complete if you just go to a certain school, collect data, and these schools are also diverse. We have different communities. And let me just mention that last year, around November, we went to the field to just ask parents, do you know what is self-awareness? Even teachers, we were asking those questions, you know, and for sure you identify the gap. We went to Narok, Migori, Nairobi, Kirinyaga, and Tana River. And we're collecting data, and the questions were just basics. Do you know what is self-awareness? How do you know that a child is good in this, has these skills? And you could see they probably...
Well, growing up where we did, back in the day, the teachers were just like, we were, I don't know, like I was punished for being very loud and talking a lot. Well, here I am.
Imagine.
Talking every day for a living, you know what I mean? So if it was identified, well, I thank God I was identified early, but probably not as a, I don't know. But you get what I mean? There are people who are shut down that have not been able to come out again after that experience. On our SMS line, I see Viona Chep, who says, from Kikuyu, "Hi Mwikali, I've just cleared my undergraduate studies, was pursuing Bachelor of Biostatistics. I scored 283 in my KCPE. I didn't feel like I'll go far, but I thank God I made it to where I am. I'm really learning a lot from today's show. Mwikali, have a good day."
Wow, that's beautiful.
What is next? I'm being told I have like 2 minutes. So in terms of career, are we going, you've gotten to some, like kuna wengine hiyo ndio maximum ya mwisho purity. Is there some, what else? What is next for you?
I mean, there's so much to do, especially in the education space. So I want to just explore all the things that will come my way, but I want to be a good researcher, because researching requires a lot of reading. So I want to read
Yes.
read widely, and read things that really interest me. Yeah, I think I still have a long journey. I still have a long journey. And allow me to mention that
Please.
this assessment of values and life skills, we are
Yes.
launching it on Wednesday.
Oh, tomorrow.
Imagine,
yes,
yes, yeah. It's
Tare
on-
17.
on 17th,
Yes.
from 3 to 5. It is an online launch. I
Okay.
mean, who would learn that these things would happen online?
know,
But
right? That is fine. Here
yeah,
we
we are looking forward to that, and I hope people will just register and join us.
How do they do that? What link are we looking out for? Social media,
Yes.
websites, everything, so that to make sure to tune in.
Yeah, so you can just check us on the Zizi Afrique Foundation. Also assessment of values and life skills in East Africa. So on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Zizi Afrique Foundation. So we have all the links are there, how to join, and also why it is important for you to
Yes.
be part of this conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm here for it. 17th it is. What time did you say?
3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
3 to 5 p.m. You know where to go.
Should I mention our chief guest?
Please.
Justice Mombing Goge.
Ate what?
Imagine, you know,
That
she's
is amazing.
She's I mean, a person of integrity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we are. Here we are. 17th, 3 to 5 p.m. Just check out. Like, I think anywhere else you write Zizi Afrique, you'll be able to get information that leads you for you to be part of the launch and for you to register and be part of this amazing journey and these amazing conversations from our home setup all the way to our schools. Thank you so much for coming. This was a lovely conversation on a Monday morning. This is Full Circle with Rikali. We'll be right back after this break.